All right, we're just about ready to go here, aren't we? Everyone excited? Got your predictions? Anyone think they can predict this list? I thought it was a pretty predictable list. I didn't feel like there were a lot of different ways we could have gone with this one. I feel like it was sort of destiny that this would be list number 9, but that's just me. I never noticed that the background was all in alphabetical order. I actually never noticed that. They're really small. I'm surprised you can read it. I'm not really broadcasting at that high a resolution here. All right, well, it is officially 12 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it is time for the reveal of the Super 16 game list. Welcome, everybody. Dust off your shoulder buttons. It is time for Super 16 race number 9. The race is going to be happening on June 21st at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch it on twitch.tv/speedgaming. That is right here. And the games and goals and all other information is going to be posted at speedgaming.org/super16. It's not up there yet, but as soon as this broadcast ends, I will hit the trigger on that and get the website updated, and you'll see the whole list and everything you need to know about this. Don't forget, we have a Discord server. You can see the link to that. If you go to speedgaming.org/super16 right now, you can get a link to the Discord server. And we will use that server. There's a channel in there, Super 16 channel, where the players can communicate with us, give us feedback, talk with each other, help each other with practicing, share resources, which is a very important thing. We're all learning these things together, so make sure to share your findings with the other players. But what is the Super 16? So the Super 16 is a race of 16 Super Nintendo games raced back-to-back, and it is a short goal of each game. Our aim was to get the game list to be maybe about 3 to 3.5 hours for the fastest players. Most people tend to finish in the 4 to 5 hour range. That's when I would say the bulk of people finish. When we do this broadcast, we'll probably run it for at least 5 hours, usually run for 5 hours, and that gets all but maybe like 2 or 3 people finished by then. And then, we might go a little bit longer, depending on how much commentary support we have. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty big chunk of time, a big time investment. But yes, this is the 9th race in the series. Little history on Super 16. We started this 9 years ago, in 2016, which was the 25th anniversary of the release of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the North American release of it back in August of 91. And we've been going through the SNES library. We generally try to pick a time window within the release dates. If you look at the release order of the Super Nintendo games, we try to pick like maybe a 6-month window or so, 6 to 8 months, depending on how dense or sparse the list is at the time, and we pick 16 games from that. And the special thing about this particular race number 9, is that we have reached the end of the release order. So most of the games you're going to be seeing today, in fact, I think all of them, were released in either 96 or 97. So we have hit the end of the release list. So that is very interesting and kind of a neat thing about this race. And also it might make it easier to predict what's going to be in this list, because by the time you reach 96, 97, not a lot of releases happening. They were already well moved on to, N64 and other stuff like that. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting set of games that came out. But as you will see, a lot of absolute bangers. They did not stop releasing quality just because the overall density of SNES releases was going down. There are some excellent games on this list. Yeah, so without further ado, let's get to it. Right. First game on the list. Oh, and I would like to thank our player, Hugh Ariel, who played these. He recorded his footage. He's not playing it live, but he recorded himself playing through a little bit of each of these games, so we can get kind of a little fun reveal for each one. So thanks very much, Hugh Ariel, who also helped me put this list together. So Hugh Ariel and I made this list. So big thanks to him for all that work. All right, starting strong. As many of you guessed, well, as at least one person guessed, it is Kirby Superstar. Now, the goal for this is going to be to beat Revenge of Meta Knight. Now, that is not unlocked at the start, and this is kind of a new thing for us. We haven't really done a lot of goals where you start from, not from the very beginning, a fresh file. So for this, you have to actually unlock this by beating Dynablade. So sometime before the race happens, beat Dynablade, get Revenge of Meta Knight unlocked, just so you won't have to do it during the race. And then during the race time, the only thing you have to do is just beat the stage Revenge of Meta Knight. So all the rest of these games will be starting from a new game, starting from a fresh file. But this one, we really just wanted a nice, meaty, solid level for people to have to do. And we want to make sure all the goals are of substantial enough length. I think the average length was about 11 minutes for what we are estimating the top finishers to take. But it kind of goes up and down because some of the longer games, some of the slower paced games had to be longer, and then there's some like quick games in here that, wouldn't make sense to do long goals for in here. But yeah, Revenge of Meta Knight I think is a really fun one. It has a big variety of stuff that you have to do. Well, we thought about some of the other, like a combination of shorter levels, but it kind of was fun to just do one level for this. So, second game in our list, oh, and I'm getting all out of whack here. Second game in our list is, I'm supposed to be revealing these over here. Second game in our list, what is it? Who's that fella? Ah, it is Street Fighter Alpha 2. The goal for this is to beat 4 opponents. Excuse me. You can play as any character. You can set any difficulty level. You can set this is as a speed, I think. You can set to turbo speed. But yeah, whatever settings you like, any character, just beat 4 opponents. That's it. These are fun. I always like seeing fighting games in the speedrun context because it's just kind of weird. It's just sort of a weird thing to speedrun, but I mean, this was, if we're going to do a fighting game, this would be, yeah, there's the turbo speed. This would be far and away the best choice. There's really only 2 choices that we could have picked for in this time range, but I think I'm pretty happy with this one. Killer Instinct. Yeah, there was Killer Instinct was definitely a game. But yeah, I think this will be fun. It'll be interesting to see what characters people pick. Often for speedrunning, a certain character is preferred, but we find in these races people tend to just pick the character they're most comfortable with because really it's about consistency. You're playing this in a set of a bunch of games. You really don't want to, pick a character that, has like a good theoretical max, but then, you end up not being able to pull out a consistent performance and just kind of ruining your whole list. There's no resets here, so you just gotta kind of go for it. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what people pick. Anyway, like I said, 4 opponents, any difficulty. Next game in the list, what will it be? This is one I don't know if anyone expected to see, but it is an interesting feature of especially among the late SNES library. It's Frogger. So on the Super Nintendo, they started releasing a bunch of like much older games that they just thought maybe this new market would really appreciate some of these things. So they have all these like 16-bit remakes of a bunch of games, and we're like, what the heck? This is a fun game. I used to love that. I played this on the 2600, and this was one of my favorite games way back then. And this is a pretty good adaptation of it. But yeah, this is a short and sweet goal. All you have to do is beat level 4, which means you have to just do this 4 times. So you're not even getting up to the point where this becomes insanely difficult. Yeah, there's very few. Yeah, a lot of the games on this list you'll find don't have a lot of runners. So if you get pretty good at one of these and you want to try to take a leaderboard position, you're in luck, because you'll be blazing the trail for a lot of these games. So it's always a nice feature of this is to pick up some new runners for the full game. All right, next up on our list. What's it going to be? Titus? I have a feeling this is not a game anyone expected. This is not a game I had ever played before until we kind of came across it in the library here. Power Pigs of the Dark Age. Believe it or not, this is a real game. Your goal here is to beat up to and including Lost City of Swine. When we list a goal here and say beat something something, it means you have to beat everything up to and including that. So here it is, but this looks like a really interesting, I mean, this, from what I can tell having played through this goal, is that this is a very fun, relatively fast-paced, just hack and slash platformer, really. Yeah, right? Blob, sure. A human, a frog, and a pig. This is all different animals. Anyway, I think that you folks will appreciate this. And big shout out to you, Ariel, who is just going for it. He didn't practice any of this stuff. He just goes and puts in the next game and then plays, and we all get to watch and judge his gameplay. So appreciate his bravery for going through that for us. It looks terribly good, is what you meant to say. Aladdin vibes. Yeah, it does kind of look like we should be finding a sheet that we can use to slide down clotheslines. Way better than The Mask. That was our standard for all these games this time. We wanted to make sure they were all better than The Mask. So that took a lot of work. I will say there were a bunch of games that we considered that were not better than The Mask, but I think ultimately... Oh, that's right. Radio is running that in Retrothon, I believe, right? Later today. Yeah, don't miss that. Super 16 alumnus playing The Mask. Toy Story. That's right. Okay, now this is another interesting game that got ported to SNES, but was originally from other platforms. One that maybe you guys might not have played, but I really love this series. This is Arkanoid Do It Again. Arkanoid 2, I believe, is what it was in sequence. I played this originally on the Apple II GS, I want to say. And this is just a fantastic game that just goes and goes. I mean, it's either a fantastic game or it's a horribly frustrating game that will make you want to just break your game controller. So, hoping people have more of the former experience, although I imagine in a speedrun context it'll probably be a bit more of the latter. One of the cool things about it is your standard, like, brick out block, brick breaking game, but you get a bunch of cool stuff like lasers and like super balls, and you get the triple ball and all that stuff. But your goal here isn't terribly long. You're going to beat round 11, which is, I believe, the first boss. I think you have to fight various incarnations of Do. And I think that is the first boss, is round 11, if I remember correctly. So yeah, believe it or not, there is some technique to it, and you'll soon discover that you have some control over where the ball bounces. It's not just random, depending on how centered you are on it. You can get some side to side on it, or get it a little more straight. Level warps. I think we're not. If there are warps, I don't think we mean to use them. I think we're meant to go through all 11 levels for this. I'll have to look into that. I do remember there were warps. I don't know if any of them show up in the first 11 levels. We'll have to check it out. But when we were playing through it to test this, we were assuming you're going to do all 11. So let's assume it's warpless for the moment. Right. Yeah. So this is Maui Mallard in Cold Shadow. I like this game in general. I'm not sure about it as a speedrun. I've never tried to play it fast just as a casual game. But it's fun. It's got kind of that, like, just a real SNESy vibe to it, in that you have these, big, like, goofy looking sprites, like, and everything is just so exaggerated, and like the soundtrack and the sound effects and the kind of like rubberiness of everything, if that makes sense. It just really feels like a true SNES platformer, which is one of the reasons we picked it, but also a good variety of gameplay. The mask vibes. Uh-oh. Yeah, not that rubbery, hopefully, and bouncy. Hopefully not that rubbery and bouncy. Now, all these games are guaranteed to be better than The Mask. Or your money back. So the goal here is just to beat World 2. This won't be a terribly long goal. All right, what's next in this list here? What's next? Now let's go play together under the clearest of blue skies. There you go. This will make a few people happy. We have Tetris Attack. Goal of this is to beat versus mode. Easy. And yeah, I mean, what more can be said about this game that hasn't already? Certainly one of the classic puzzle games for this platform. Yeah, I think people who haven't played this before are going to be delighted. People who have played this before will hopefully have a little bit of an advantage because you're already understanding the mechanics a bit. But it should be pretty easy to pick up. It's a fairly simple game. And you will be absolutely amazed by the people who are very good at this game. You'll be absolutely amazed by how fast they can do this. This is one of those games that where you look at the difference between casual play and expert play, and it's just like unfathomably different. So hopefully you can draw some inspiration from some of the runs out there. This is a very heavily run game, so you should have no lack of examples of good gameplay. There we go. Next up in the list, it's Capcom. That's a good start. It's the 8th game, so it's right before the break, so it's usually something fairly heavy that we put in here. Something that'll really get you sweating right before the midway break. Gotta put in a real power hitter. What's it gonna be? It's Mega Man X3. How could this game not be on the list? How could it not be on the list? There's just no way we could have done this set without putting X3 in there. And here we go. The goal for this is going to be to beat 5 Mavericks. The reason we pick 5 is there is a supplemental mini-boss that appears, and I think that it is random whether it appears like after 3, 4, or 5. 2, 3, or 4, what am I thinking here? But it is random when it could appear, so we want to make sure that it is not gonna, like, some people get like bad luck and have to fight this, and some people don't. So 5 Mavericks should make it. They'll show up in 3, 4, or 5. Yes, that's what it is, not 2, 3, or 4. So we 3, 4, or 5. So that's why we do 5 Mavericks, and therefore everyone should be on equal footing. This is rather long though, because in order to do 5 Mavericks, it's going to be, I think, for most people around 20 minutes if you've practiced. Definitely the really good players should be able to get quite a bit under that, but this is the longest game in the list so far. But what we do is we take a little break in between Game 8 and Game 9 here. It's a 2-minute break so that people can get up, use the bathroom, refill the drinks, etc. Between each of these games, we have a 45-second break just so people can switch cartridges and switch, whatever controller settings or anything they need to do. But instead of the 45 seconds, after Mega Man X3, you're going to take 2 minutes. So that's instead of the 45 seconds, it'll be 2 minutes. And I'll go over these rules again at the end. And of course, you can read them on the webpage, speedgaming.org/super16. But yeah, this is the midway point here. All right, next game in the list. It's another Tidus game. How did we get 2 Tidus games in here? What is going on? It's Wiz? Speaking of getting up for a bathroom break, we have Wiz. Now, this is a game that I bet a lot of people have not played, but I just love isometric platformers. And therefore, you all have to play this. No, I actually really do think this will be a fun game that about 40% of people will absolutely love, and everyone else will hate me for. So here we go. It's Wiz. The goal is to beat stage 2-3. And if you turn your head 45 degrees to the side, then everything makes a lot more sense. So just bear in mind that your neck is going to be kind of sore by the end of this game. But yeah, it's Wiz. What else can you say about it? You're a rabbit with a top hat. There's a bunch of just wacky stuff that makes no sense going on around you. Try not to fall off the platform or get hit too many times, and you'll be fine. Next game, another one that you might not have played before. It's called Zoop. So this is, I guess you can call it an arcade-style game in that you there's like one thing that you do and you just basically keep doing that until the game gets too hard for you. I think there is a limited number of levels, though. It's not just like a speed-up forever game. But this game I just found really charming and just, like, you have to... Like, it's just so different. We had to put it in here. This feels, like, so interesting. I can't think of any other games that are like this. This goal is pretty short. We're just beating levels 1 through 6 in level mode. And you should be able to do this in, like, maybe 8 minutes or something. It shouldn't be all that much gameplay for you. But yeah, this is going to take some learning. This will be one that I think the blind players might have to take some time figuring out. But there you go. You're beating the first 6 levels in level mode. All right, we had Wiz, then Zoop. The next game is Flurb, then Fniff, then Spiff. We're just going to do all silly sound effect names for the rest of... Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. We didn't do that. We actually picked a game with a real name that you can pronounce. It's going to be Prince of Persia 2. Shadow and the Flame. So, either you're welcome or I'm sorry. This game is a real challenge. I had a hard time with the sword fighting, kind of getting used to like making it not just a random combat that each time, but there is an actual technique, and it is possible to skip enemies. There's also some out of bounds, I think, but there are a bunch of runs of Prince of Persia 2 for the PC version. But there really is not a lot of good material out there for the SNES version. So I think this is, if you're looking to, make a dent in some game that really hasn't had a lot of exploration done on it, this is a good opportunity for you because you can use the DOS version as a kind of a template for what to do, but you'll have to figure out your own strategies a bit because there are some slight differences here. But yeah, we're beating level 5 for this one. Next game on the list. This is, I think, just a ton of fun. I played through both of these Lost Vikings games relatively recently, and I just found this just to be such a unique game. But here we go. You have 3 Vikings. You have to try to find your way through this puzzle platforming level. There's a puzzle to be solved. Each of your Vikings has a different ability. Actually, some of them have more than one different ability. And you can switch between them whenever you want. And it is necessary to switch between them to solve these different puzzles. And you have to get all 3 of your Vikings to the goal. The goal for this, the objective here, is to beat World 1. Yeah, if you've played the first one, you'll find this very familiar. It's not really that much different, just more levels, and I think it's a little harder. But there we go, use the shield guy. This guy runs and jumps. Pretty cool. Yeah, we already did Rock and Roll Racing, and we did Lost Vikings 1 a number of years ago. So there we go. It's the Lost Vikings. Cool Blizzard game. Man, Blizzard was really churning out some good games. I don't know whatever happened to Blizzard. Do they still make games anymore? Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. Next game, oh, just jumps right in. No guessing from the production screens. Next game is called Incantation. Game in quotation marks, right? It's Incantation. So this is... Oh, sorry for the bad encoding quality. That's not on your side. This game is pretty cool, I guess. It's a side-scrolling platformer, as you can see. And there is... Basically, it's a run and gun. It's a run and gun where you're a wizard. And a bunch of goofy things come at you that you have to fight. You have to beat stage 8 in this, and I think this is a fairly easy game to get used to. I mean, you can just jump right in and play this. There you go. Incantation. Quest 64 vibes. A little bit. There's an NES game that this reminds me of, and I just can't think of the name right now. All right. Second to last game on the list. This is usually where we put in our... Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is the third to last game on the list. And this is one that I would bet most people haven't played but are really going to appreciate. This game, as you probably couldn't tell from the title screen, is called King of Demons. This was a Japanese-only release. It is the only game in this list for which we will use the J cartridge. Everything else you can use North American version, but this will be J version because that's all there was. Yeah, this is a really interesting game. I love the art style in it. It's just nice and dark. It's just a horror platformer with a bunch of cool little twists in it. In a way, it makes me think of Hagane, but it doesn't really play like Hagane. But in the same way of, it just being a Japanese-only release with like just a dark sort of horror-themed platforming was certainly it certainly appealed to me. Think of this as like SNES Holy Diver, I guess, if you want to. Oh yeah. But yeah, cool, underappreciated game. I really hope that this game gets some more attention because of this. I really hope. Been down too long in the purple sewer. Yeah, Yeah, some real gross bosses. I love it. All right, second last game of the list. This is usually where we put our RPG, but what RPG will it be? What RPG would we pick? What RPG haven't we done yet that is just absolutely iconic RPG for the SNES, made by Square? What even would we have picked for this? Oh boy. Oh boy. It's Super Mario RPG. That's not Brain Lord. Oh, I forgot about Brain Lord. Hold on, I'm going to modify this list. We'll have to start this reveal again. So here we go. It's Super Mario RPG. The goal for this is to beat Belome, and I had to look up how to pronounce that because I've heard people say a bunch of different things, but I think it's Belome. This is going to be a rather long goal. I think this will be the longest of the list, which is often the case with RPGs because you really got to give them time to develop. You can't rush an RPG goal. But yeah, charming game. Certainly will be familiar to, I think, most people who would, you know, show up to watch a stream like this. I'm sure there's not a lot of people in the audience who are like, oh, this game, I never knew there was a Mario RPG. But yeah, I really hope that people enjoy this goal. It is always hard doing a Super 16 goal of an RPG because you want to make sure you give, like, RPGs tend to be really slow to develop, and you really want to make sure you give people enough, you know, enough meat of the game that they have a chance for, like, the skillful players to get ahead of the less skilled ones, and it's not just like something that's on rails. So hopefully this goal will be long enough to make that happen. But yeah, a wonderful game. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend this. All right, last game in the list. We try to end with something pretty substantial, something difficult, usually a platformer, but it could be all kinds of different things. But another game that we absolutely could not walk right past. We had to pick up Donkey Kong Country 3. And this is, I mean, this just, it kind of goes without saying that the Donkey Kong Country games are arguably the best platformers for the Super Nintendo. I mean, there's certainly some competition for that, but Donkey Kong Country, in general, if there was a perfect game series, it would be this. Warps allowed. Oh, beat 3 worlds. So I believe this is going to be up to you. What you yeah, it is phrased weirdly here. I believe it is up to you which. I think that was the intention. Beat 3 worlds is how I should have phrased it. But yeah, there we go. That's the list. That's 16 games. There we go. List number 9. I'll just go over some rules in general here. So, let's see. You have to play the games in the order that they're shown here. All the goals start from a new game, and they end when you've played up to and including the stage or boss specified in the goal. The one exception to that is going to be Kirby Superstar, where you have to already start with Revenge of Meta Knight unlocked, because you're just playing Revenge of Meta Knight. So before the race begins, remember just to make sure you've beat Dynablade, which unlocks Revenge of Meta Knight, And then during the race, the only thing you have to beat is Revenge of Meta Knight. But for all the other games, you start at the beginning and you go all the way up to and including the thing that we list in the goal. Let's see. You can use emulator, you can use flash carts, you can use real cartridges. Make sure to use the U version for all these games, with the exception of King of Demons, which is Majuo. If you want to look for it, you probably will have to look for it under the Japanese name. But you can use the J version for King of Demons, because that's what there is. For all of these, you should use the default difficulty level, unless specified otherwise. So let's see. In Street Fighter Alpha 2, you can choose any difficulty level, and in Tetris Attack, you're doing easy. But for all their games, you have to leave the difficulty at the default level. Other than that, you can change the other game options. You can change controls, things like that. If the game has an option to give you more lives or more continues or whatever, you can set that option as well. You're allowed to change the options. In general, all glitches are going to be allowed unless we mention on a per game basis that that certain glitches can't be. But in general, by default, glitches are allowed. Make sure to check the website speedgaming.org/super16, and we will put clarifications for any of the rules as we go. Here, I'll just start this video again so we have something to look at while I'm talking. But yeah, all the rules will be up there. And pay attention to the Discord channel, because questions will come up. Is this allowed? Is that allowed? Throughout the next 2 months. And we will, give you your answers in there. And also update the website. Let's see. No, in general, you cannot use codes unless we've mentioned specifically in the per game rules. So any controller input codes and things like that. And obviously no Game Shark type things. But sometimes we make exceptions if there's a good reason for it. And a lot of games, a general philosophy is that we want people to continue to make forward progress. So if a game has a code that lets you continue from a particular level or stage select or give you more lives and things like that, we often will let that be in. If that's the case, if one of these games has a code like that, just mention it in the Discord and we'll take a look and give you the yes, no on it. But generally, things that give you more continues and more lives are going to be allowed. And games that have like a stage select kind of code, we will let you use something like that if you die or game over during your run to return to the level that you game overed at. So that is kind of the exception to the no codes rule. We do basically effectively allow you to have, as many continues as you need, if there's a code that does that. But like I said, just ask in the Discord, and we'll make sure to vet that and then officially post on the rules that such and such code can be used. And of course, no save states. And no turbo buttons. I don't mind if you use a save state to get you to the title screen or something like that, if the game has a ridiculously long intro or something like that. That's okay, but once the timer's going on that game, no using save states. Let's see. Between each game, after you complete the goal, wait 45 seconds before you start your run in the next game. That is intended to give people a chance to, switch the games, set their controls, or do whatever they need to do. Some people switch from emulator to console in between because certain games they'd rather play on console. So just to give you enough time to do that kind of thing. And then, of course, after the 8th game, which is Mega Man X, so between Mega Man X and Wiz, there is, instead of 45 seconds, there is 2 minutes. And I guess you'll have to speed run going to the bathroom. But that's the long break in the middle there. All right. A few things to note about the race. It is happening on Saturday, June 21st. It starts at noon Eastern Time. That's 6 p.m. Central European Time. And to join the race, all you have to do is go to racetime.gg, and about an hour before the race begins, I'll open up a channel there, and you can just join that race channel, and whoever's in that race channel is in the race. It's open to everybody. You don't have to sign up in any explicit way. You just show up on the day of the race and do it. Plenty of people race this blind. If you want to just kind of come in and try your best, go in blind through these games, go for it. You're absolutely welcome to. This is a pretty common thing that people do. It should be fairly doable blind. The one thing you will need to know is that for Kirby Superstar, you do need to make sure to beat Dynablade before you begin. But yeah, this is certainly hopefully a blind-friendly list. It's kind of hard to determine that kind of thing ahead of time, but hopefully. We also have some resources for players. We have a channel in the Discord where we have game resources where people can post tutorials. You can post, paste bins with different, information to help people. You can make video tutorials. Often people will reach out to like the world record holders or other, prominent players of the game and say, hey, can you make a tutorial? And it's pretty common for some of the best players of these games, even if they're not racing, to just make tutorials for us. And as these things get made, we will post them in the resources channel in the Discord. But yes, do what you can to help your fellow players out. Share your knowledge. If you're an expert in one of these games or just someone who's, who got a real good head start on the practicing and you want to help your fellow players along, that's very much appreciated. This is a community effort. Let's see. What other things do I want to mention? I guess that's really it. I mean, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask in the Discord. Oh yeah, sorry, why don't I post the link to the Discord? I guess we don't have that. I don't have a bot support for that kind of thing right now. I will post a link to that Discord server. Yeah, it's actually not the Speed Gaming Discord. This is a different one. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is a different one. This is where you would go. We're in the retro server for this, which is what we do with our SNES stuff. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, hop in there and you can talk about this stuff with the other players. Let's see. If you are interested in commentating this race, I'll be there commentating, but we need more than just me. So if you feel like you want to commentate this race as opposed to racing in it, feel free to join. If you want to just commentate for specific games, also let me know. But yeah, we're going to be going for about usually between 5 and 6 hours on that broadcast. We will definitely need people swapping in and out in shifts. So yeah, if you want to commentate and, lend your skills that way, it's very much appreciated. Just get in touch with me. Also, if you're a player who is planning, who thinks you're going to be among the first finishers and you want to kind of hop in and do commentary after you've finished racing the games, that's also appreciated. We do have plenty of opportunity for people to come in and relieve the commentators once they've finished doing the race. And that's it. This is it was really cool going through the last 9 years of the SNES library, just kind of creeping through it year by year. I think we finished strong. There's certainly a lot of games on here that I think we're looking at one right now that people probably haven't played before, but that's kind of the hope here, is we get in some real well-known, can't miss games, and then we get in some ones that are a little more experimental. And I don't know, every now and then people discover a game that, like a hidden gem that they didn't realize was in the library that they absolutely love, like The Mask. But yeah, the next Super 16 list, it's just going to be Brain Lord. And you're going to be playing it 16 times. Alright, well that's all for me. My jokes are just going to get stupider if I keep going here. Get to practicing. I'm going to go put that list posted on speedgaming.org/super16. And yeah, you have 8 weeks to do this, 8 weeks to practice. So get on it. Spread the word in your various communities. Tell your friends, tell your grandparents, anybody who you think would be delighted to see Power Pigs. You are welcome to bring them in the fold here. And that's it. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.